I am so tired.
It is early. All right, welcome to Mountaineer Kingdom Dude Talk. Real men, manly talk. I didn't mess up that time.
It does seem earlier today than normal.
It's because it's so bright outside. So, keeping with the theme of politics, we're going to jump into it again. What are you guys feeling or seeing?
I'm not sure if that made sense, but
as this... What didn't make sense?
nothing.
Nope, say it.
Because it's so bright outside?
Usually we get here and it's dark.
You can't tell down here.
But you can when you walk in. I wish you would think just once.
I think a lot.
I think too much.
It was 5:30 this morning when I left.
Man, I got, like I said, Lauren went off at 6:15 and I slept for another 15.
Yeah, I was halfway here by that point.
I'll tell you, move. Can you move?
Yes, I can.
Okay, just saying, it's free country.
Yeah.
People leaving California still. I did see that.
America.
They're also
long as they don't bring their
leaving
liberal
Mexico
views.
too.
What's that?
As long as they don't bring their liberal views with them.
That was going to be my question because a lot of them are going to Texas. Do you think it's a strategy to try to flip it?
Yep.
I
You
don't
do?
know.
You don't?
I don't know. I mean, I think that I don't know if it's a cognitive.
So you're not going to say you want Ukraine to win. It's like, why do you even go on there? And then I actually watched the clip and got the full context of it. What a great answer. Mm-hmm. Just people are dying. Let's end it. I don't know if he could end it within 24 hours. I mean, but he's always kind of the biggest, baddest, best, quickest.
I love him.
I wouldn't put it past him to be able to end it in 24 hours just because he has that Theodore Roosevelt walk softly and carry a big stick type philosophy.
Yeah, but them tiny hands can't carry a big stick.
I don't know. I kind of agree with Jared. I mean, you think about Reagan and Gorbachev. You know, I imagine that it was one phone call. He just called him up off hours and says, "Hey, tear down the wall, or we're coming." And that was done.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, I think he would end it. Well, I don't think Putin would have went in. If Trump was in, I don't think
he definitely wouldn't have
went
in. The other thing that we have to keep in mindful too is what the rest of the globe looks like if we have another 4 years of a weak presidency. Mm-hmm. We got the Middle East that is a powder keg ready to explode with Iran. Iran's been giving Russia technology, weapons, drones. China's been doing the same thing.
China.
So China. But
what do you call it? The China virus because it came from China.
I saw a video. Saw a video of a guy. It was a Chinese guy pretending to be a teacher, and so he's like, "Okay, who can tell me where the coronavirus came from?" And then so the same Chinese guy pretending to be a student. Now he raises his hand, and the teacher says, "Yes, you're right."
I thought you were going to do the voice.
I can't.
But it's. I mean, if you look at Bible prophecy, I mean, the Battle of Mag, or was it?
Megiddo.
Yes.
Sure.
It's like an X-Men or a Pokemon.
It's I mean, the Magog is if I remember correctly is Russia, and then Iran is Persia, and joined forces. And then like I heard on the news about the rocket. Actually, wasn't on the news. It was on podcast from Israel. The rocket barrage coming from the Gaza Strip, all that was being funded by the Iranians, and that's how they're getting their money is from Iran. Iran doesn't have the guts to attack Israel directly, so they're having these terrorists do it. And how the Israeli forces were able to kill 6 of the terrorist leaders was based on their alliance with Egypt.
Okay.
And they got their intelligence from Egypt, and they were able to go in within like 48 hours from the start of the operation and kill 6 of the top 6 of the terrorist group that was attacking Israel.
See, I think in another 4 years, if we don't have a strong president, either Trump, just anybody that's not Biden or Kamala, I think it's going China. I think that China will be the big superpower that steps out of this because France is already. Why are we so dependent on America? And they're already going toward China's views on things. They're all right with them taking Taiwan back.
Well, that's going to be the next step. Funny thing is, I was listening to the Blaze, and
Shout out to the Blaze.
and Glenn Beck had his little news program that he has right before his show, and he was talking. They were talking about, had a video clip of President Biden talking, and he goes, "Yeah, my boss Kamala Harris. I mean, I work for Kamala."
He doesn't know what day of the week it is.
No,
We should have Glenn Beck on the show.
Open invitation, Glenn.
that would be fantastic.
Tucker Carlson also. Love you. Come on.
Now, is his deal with Twitter, is that official? Is he?
I haven't heard one or the other. And that would be an interesting ticket.
Wouldn't it?
Trump and Tucker.
I don't know if Tucker would do it, but man.
That would be interesting. Usually, talk show hosts wouldn't make a very good presidential candidate or
He's
even
very
VP.
smart.
He's a journalist.
And he does not hold back.
Yeah, but like having Rush Limbaugh running the country back before Rush died would have never worked. But great ideas. He's a great commentary.
I loved some of the things that Rush said, and then there's things he said that would completely go against my belief. And it's like, I mean, if you would just stop with half of your thought, that first half is amazing, and then the second half just is like, okay, now you're just as bad as they are, with how far he was willing to go to achieve some of that stuff.
A lot of it was done out of parody, though.
Sure.
He would just crack on stuff just to make a joke, and I miss some of the parody songs that he was the kind of the brainchild behind, and especially like during the Clinton years were hilarious.
Oh, Clinton! If I never hear that name again, I'll be happy. All right,
one more thought on Bill Clinton. You know, America's in pretty good shape when he was president.
True.
Because it was still a legitimate Democratic Party. And there are so many clips out there of things that he said about immigration and the border and welfare and all these things, right to life, all these things that he said, he would be banished from the Democratic.
Today. Yeah.
He would be an extreme right wing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and the videos are out there. Then you look at these old videos of Joe Biden and what he used to say about, you know, gay marriage and things like that. He said, no, marriage is between a man and a woman.
The law settled. The law settled. Who's changing the law?
But now I want to get votes, so now I'm okay with it.
Well, I don't think it's about wanting to get votes. That's what the little voice in his ear is telling him.
Well,
but
true.
like, because
Named
go back to like Rush Limbaugh. He was talking about how he thought it would be really difficult for Biden to become the Democratic nominee because he still deep in his heart believes that America is the greatest country that's ever existed.
Yeah.
Now, what Rush wasn't factoring in, and what I don't think any of us were factoring in, was the dementia that he has, and that he is now just whatever his boss is telling him is exactly what he's going out and saying.
Who's the boss?
Obama. All right.
Kamala Harris.
You think it's
Yeah.
Obama still?
Yeah.
Well, wasn't there a clip? I know this is amazing though. Wasn't there a clip where he was talking? He was asking a
Maybe we'll
question.
get to this
If
in the
you could
next
run
episode.
again,
I would love to have a third term. If I can get a third term and someone else do it and I just kind of be in the background, that'd be great. That's what he said.
All right. So before we show the clip, I want to talk about what I feel the purpose behind the attack that America's facing. I think it's a demonic attack, and just like every example you can find of Israel fading away in the Bible, was that younger generation was attacked. And if the enemy can get to the younger generation, the younger church, half of his battles won. We know who wins the war. We know that our salvation is in Christ. Our victory is in him. But he's coming after the younger church. And I think almost all of these videos these little short clips we're about to watch, are all an attack on the next generation that's supposed to be up and coming. And it takes us as men to step up, use the authority that we were given, and let your yeas be yeas and your nays be nays.
Am I good now?
Yeah, one more thing. No, I'm kidding.
All right, here we go.
Hey, before we
My
get into
house
that,
complain about my baby wearing pink.
There we go.
I was just asking really why you keep putting her in pink and not other colours.
Well, traditionally, girls often wear pink.
Well, I think you'll find that was back in the day. I don't think it's today. I think you can wear any colour you want now.
All the colors of the rainbow.
She has other like clothes as well, but her favourite colour is pink.
Well, I've only ever seen her in pink, and I think that's not allowing her to have freedom of what
What do you mean
gender she
freedom?
wants to be.
That's not your concern.
She's a baby.
She's not a baby.
She's baby, she's 2.
She looks a lot older than that to me. But anyway,
Well, hold on a minute, yeah. What's any of your concern?
Oh, there it is.
well, it's my concern because I believe that the world has got better since we've got all this fluidity with genders and
Okay.
all the different types of genders now.
You sure about that?
Okay.
And I think by dressing someone in pink, if she doesn't want to be a girl when she's older, she wants to be a transgender or whatever, then she'll have been dressed in pink and you would have confused her.
The only mother here who's confused is you.
So you come.
So, first of all, how bold is it to walk up to somebody,
Knock on
and
their
tell
door.
them, yeah, go to their home and tell them,
Jeez.
I don't like what you're dressing your kid in. Now, granted, this is England, so, but we have that here in America.
But the thing is being over here, hearing that, she's got that British accent, so you just want to love her anyhow.
Yeah.
How long was that video, would you say?
Without all the extra smart aleck
Yeah.
clips, maybe 15 seconds.
Okay. It went 14 seconds longer than it would for me if someone came to the door
Slam.
and said that to me. 14 seconds too long. Because it is bold, but it's nuts.
And
It's nuts. That's all
she
there
was
is to it.
the
Nuts.
conviction you can hear in her voice that she truly believes that, and she's one of the older generation.
Spirit of deception will be poured out in the last days.
Talking about confused. You're going to confuse your 2-year. It's our job as parents to teach our kids and to guide them. And confusion is it's amazing. It's amazing what they use and
Yep.
the tactics they use.
So I think a year ago, this was this issue was going to be a lot more prevalent in the upcoming election. I think it's going to take a back burner a little bit, but that's still going to be one of the issues that people are going to decide on. Who help? What's wrong? The dog. I don't think we could hear him. I thought it was
No,
Right.
he doesn't come through.
And
Still kinda
I think
funny, though.
I think that one may be bigger for the church, and I want to talk. We'll talk about after that. We watch all these. What's the church's role in all this compared to where are we putting our trust? Are we putting it in politicians? Or are we
You
putting it in the church?
unfortunately, I'm gonna jump right into it. You unfortunately have in the church today. You have these same people in the church today. This lady that's in this video, she's coming to church, and you don't even necessarily know that she's coming to church.
That's true.
I agree.
There's a lot more
It's
liberalism in the church than you think there is.
The church as a whole, for sure.
Yep.
And that's, again, I'm just going to say what I've been saying, and it might offend some people, but when you support a party that supports these type of things, you're not truly living a Christian life. You know,
I
we
don't
talk
think
about
you can.
voting for righteousness, not for the Democrats, not for the Republicans, not for any type of name, but for righteousness. Are there sinners on the Republican side? 100%. Sinners Democrat? 100%. But at least the Republican Party still on paper stands for righteousness and moral code.
Not killing babies.
Right.
Well, the thing when
That's
you
the
start
next
start looking at politics and political parties, and we were talking before the show about how Bill Clinton was really part of kind of the old Democrat Party, and how it's kind of pushed even further left. Well, the Republican Party is pushing left too, and there are fewer Republican candidates that believe in more conservative values.
Few and fewer.
Yes, just making sure that it's thrice as many.
Like, oh, it is early. It's barely 7:40.
Very few.
I think it might be the next clip where we go into a conversation about abortion and what's a fetus, and
Okay.
maybe.
Defining abortion as the murder of babies, which biological fact is you would say most abortions are done before they are actually babies. It's still just a fetus. So my
Do
question...
you know what the word fetus means?
It's just a cluster, a
That's
zygote
not what
developing
fetus means.
into a baby eventually.
The word fetus, it's a Latin word, and it just means offspring. That's all it means. It just means the next
Does that mean
generation of a
baby?
being. So, but that's what a baby is also. I mean, that's what you would call your adult child someday once he's grown, hopefully, if he hasn't been
Can I
murdered.
ask my question?
Well, I'm just like to clarify this point. You would call your adult child your offspring too, but all of these terms that you might use, fetus, embryo, the one they love is zygote, which sounds like a Pokemon, but they use all these different terms, but it's all referring to the same being, and you were that being once. You, the person who's standing here right now.
Do any of us have a memory of being that being?
No, I mean, I don't have a memory of last Thursday, frankly. It's been a very busy week, but the lack of a memory doesn't mean that it's all right to murder me.
So that goes on a little bit, but first of all, the arrogance and hate in her voice and demeanor when she's asking that question, or trying to even get to her question. And to your point, we talked about this last Sunday in class, I believe, about how you can't be a Democrat or a Christian and vote Democrat. Have we talked about the right to life law in here on the podcast?
Not on the podcast.
If not, we'll just retouch it quickly. There was not a single vote on the left that says if there is a failed abortion and that baby is still on the table, that the doctor is required to give aid and help sustain that life. Not a single Democrat voted for that. They were against it. If it's a failed abortion, the baby lives, then they want the baby to just lay there and die. And that they get to lecture me on guns and what takes life and the value of life, and you need to confirm everybody and accept people for the way they are when you can't even protect the most innocent when they're the most vulnerable. Kick rocks, dude.
That's the reason for the vaccine. It was to protect the innocent and the most vulnerable.
When it was the people that were already unhealthy that were going to end up dying anyways.
Well, to his point, I think he's pointing out the hypocrisy of them.
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about, the first video, the hypocrisy of it all is they say that men cannot have views on abortion because we don't have a uterus. Yet, a man can say, I can be pregnant to them without a uterus. And then they say men are oppressive and are against women's rights and women's ability to succeed. Yet a man can go run in female athletics and destroy them, and they're okay with it.
Yeah.
They're all hypocrites.
How brave.
Yeah. And now to this video, I agree. I was hearing arrogance and anger and also just straight ignorance, because this person was not prepared to even have any type of talking point. She wrote the question, probably had help from someone else writing the question, and was hoping to get the question and then just scream. Like she had no preparation to defend what she said. You could see it in her face that she just wanted to read her question, get her talking points out, and then that was it.
Yeah.
And then this guy, what's his name, by the way? He's
That was
really
Michael
good.
Knowles.
Okay. Yeah, he's really good. And then you hit him with some definitions, and she's like, "Can I ask my question?" She didn't want to hear.
Like a normal bratty teenager.
Yeah, she didn't want to hear anything. She just wanted to talk about what her question was.
And talking about the brattiness for a second, I know some people's not going to like it, but that's what it is. That comes from how you're being raised inside the home.
100%.
My kids are not. They may have outbursts like that here and there, but that will be corrected and talked and addressed.
Yep.
That's someone that's never been addressed with. My job is to, I think Jordan Peterson said, and I know we quote him a lot on here, he just has good stuff, that you should not raise your children to where you don't like them. Because then they're going to grow up to be unruly, ill-mannered citizens in society. And I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm maybe a little too harsh on the kids. And then I hear stuff like that, and it's like, no, I'm not. And I don't want to be any harsher, but I want to be more loving and more corrective, because I don't want them. I do not want them to be those type of people.
Well, one of the, I listen to those videos, and what I think is just kind of what we kind of started this podcast on. The first episode was that Mark Driscoll study, and just the spirit that is coming there. Well, it's not really coming, because that would give you the sense that it hasn't arrived yet, but the spirit that has arrived and is blanketed the United States of America.
Talk about
Astra, just
whatever you call her,
the spirit of deception that is really starting to fall on this. So I was listening on my way in. It was a teaching from my uncle, and he said that back in the 50s, Kenneth Hagin was praying, and God had told him that, hey, I'm getting ready to pour out my last warning to the United States of America. The other countries have already had theirs, and they're not going to get another. This generation needs to know this is the last warning. Well, generation is in between 70 to 80 years, and we're at the end of that generation of last warning before wrath is kind of poured out. And the spirit of deception is here, is attacking people, and it's really up to the church to keep that at bay. And the spirit of deception is in the churches. I mean, you start looking at some of these pastors that used to be spirit-filled ministers that are preaching now wokeness and preaching exactly what we just heard on how it's okay, that God's created the gender identity of what people believe that it is now, not male and female, that was completely written throughout the Bible.
Yeah, I shared it. I think DD was in class, but I saw an argument or a video online similar to this, that God created man, God created woman, he created them, and that is the argument that he created the spectrum.
Because they don't know simple English. Them means those two people.
And I was so dumbfounded. I'm like, seriously, nobody believes this. Nobody can believe this. And then within seconds, I'm like, oh, millions upon millions of people, billions actually believe that.
Yep. Deception.
Well, it also goes back to the home, which the home should be leading their family into church and getting the actual truth. But then also, in these homes, there is no absolute truth anymore. But there is a truth. There is a right and there's a wrong. There's a right and wrong in mathematics. There's a right and wrong in English and spelling and all.
But 2 plus 2 could be 5 now.
No, it can't. I know what you're saying, but it cannot be. And that no one's being taught right from wrong. And what you said, you're trying to raise your kids, and we all are, teaching them right from wrong, teaching them how to speak with people, to not be disrespectful. Even if you're shy and bashful, to keep making eye contact and have a short conversation. You don't have to care. We're teaching our kids to be respectful adults one day, and to be law-abiding children. If you have no law in your home, how are you going to expect your kids to obey the law outside of the home when they're grown?
Yep.
And that's what's going on with this young girl in the video. I don't know why I looked at that microphone. Like that young girl in the video.
Because we miss Andy. Andy's abandoned us for whatever reason, and it's starting to hurt my feelings. Just throwing that out there.
But this person's never been told no in her life. I guarantee it. She's never been told no in her life.
No.
She has no concept of it.
No.
Sounds like
the
girl
yes man
from,
says no.
Sounds like the Golden Goose girl from Willy Wonka.
Yeah,
But
I want to
go
know. It reminds me of the term affluenza. Remember that case where that rich kid killed someone and he got off on it because of affluenza? It's a disorder now of lack of motivation and fear of isolation because of you come from a wealthy home. You've never been told the difference from right and wrong and any type of repercussions for those actions.
And he won this case?
Yeah.
It was years ago, wasn't it?
Huh?
It was years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was years ago. And so that's what's going on. Just a large dose of affluenza. These kids never been told no. They have no idea from right from wrong. And if you have no idea right from wrong, then everything's okay, and it's not.
No, it's not. Man, just time to. I was thinking several thoughts as you guys were talking, and one of the things that comes back, and I'm going to spring a question on you here in a second. I know it's kind of unprepared, but
this will be interesting.
I was rereading Genesis. And after the flood, or right before the flood, but then in Noah's day, God was telling them to tear down the Asherah poles. And I'm like, why have I never known? It was in Exodus. It was right after the Ten Commandments. I'm so sorry. It was Moses. And it was tear down the Asherah poles. So even after the world's destroyed by water, everything's gone except for whatever God decided to save. That demon comes back and starts its influence again upon the world, even as early as Exodus.
It was even earlier than that.
Well, I think there was...
Right after the flood, the first generation after the flood.
And so although the physical beings were mainly destroyed, The spiritual were not. They came back to keep fighting. So here's my question. I say that because we talked about Asherah with Jezebel and Ahab. I saw this online and I still don't know if I have an answer for myself. With mental illness, because I think a lot of what we're hearing already is a mental illness. It's the deception. Do you think all mental illness comes from a demon?
No.
Okay. Because I was reading, a lot of people do. A lot of people think every mental illness comes from.
It's easy to say that, but no. I mean, there are chemical reactions that misfire in brains to cause mental illnesses. I mean, my mom had mental illness. I don't think it was from a demon oppression. A lot of it does. I mean, there's a lot of folks that are in mental hospitals that are because of either demon oppression or demon possession. They're two completely different things. But there is medical reasoning behind it. It would be the same saying that every mental illness is caused by demon oppression would be the same thing as every other physical ailment is caused by demon oppression or demon possession.
I'm of the thought currently that I don't think that it is, but I think it's easier for demons to work.
Oh, it is, because the gates are down.
Yeah, I would say it's not demon possession, but it all does go back to the sin in the world. You know, everybody would say, why would God give people cancer? Well, God doesn't give people cancer. It's sin in the world. It's an attack of the enemy. So mental illness is an attack of the devil, but I don't believe it's demon possession. And I believe I read somewhere one time where if you are a believer, you cannot be demon possessed. You can be led by a demon, influenced, I should say.
You can be
you can be oppressed.
Because even Elijah was oppressed. After.
Right, oppressed. But you cannot be possessed. And so, I mean, there's cases of it. We know people that have been in our church that deal with mental problems, but they love the Lord with all their heart, with all their soul, with all their might. And so no, I don't believe that either. It's not a demon possession, mental illness. No.
Okay. So that's where my heart was telling me, but I was like, man, I want to dive in this a little bit more. I didn't mean to bring that, but it's like that just felt right to bring that up.
I mean, it kind of coincides with the fact that, I mean, we've talked about it before, that we're a 3-part being. Yeah. And a demon possession and being born again in the spirit can't occur simultaneously, because you can only have. You can only be possessed by the Spirit of God or by the spirit of darkness. You can't be both. And the oppression would come on your mind, and that's not been renewed yet.
See, and the other thought that comes to my mind, I think we only have one, maybe two more videos. I think one of the phrases that we forget, or one of the meanings behind the story of Elijah, is right when he had the big showdown with the prophets of Baal. 400 and then 450 of Asherah, was he said, why do you waver between two opinions? Right? Today we're deciding Baal, or we're deciding God. And this, I truly believe this upcoming election is that we have to stop wavering, and we have to say, you know what, I'm going to vote with my principles. I'm going to vote with a God conscience, and I'm going to vote for his truth. Now, there is no politician, there is no leader, there is no man president that is going to bring us victory. We only get that victory through Christ.
But there are men placed on earth that we can throw a stick in the wheel to stop it.
Yes.
You know what
I mean? Well, there's two things to remember there. I mean, I said that in 2016 when the election was kind of coming down between Trump and Clinton. This is one of those pivotal elections. Depending on who wins this election will, I think, ultimately determine how fast the rapture occurs.
Yeah.
Trump ended up winning. And I don't want to be one of those like conservative Christians that put Trump on this pedestal, because he doesn't deserve to be on a pedestal. He's just the same fallen individual that the rest of us are. The difference is compared to his opponents and compared to other presidents that we've had in the recent past, he actually listens to evangelical pastors. Jensen Franklin spent a lot of time in the White House counseling the president on decisions to be made.
And that
Prayer
used to
all
be
the
a
time.
great
Prayer
thing.
all the time.
I mean, Billy
Billy
Graham
Graham.
was how far back, and he was Republican and Democratic.
All the way back to what, Eisenhower,
Eisenhower to Clinton or Bush.
Obama.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was around for Obama.
Yep.
But it's the time to waver's done. There's a decision to be made, and if you're even remotely on the fence, it's time to dig in prayer and get your guidance from the Holy Spirit, because it's not just. I mean, our generation, we're going to have our time, and I don't see much changing for us. I mean, it can.
Yeah.
But our kids are going to be the ones, if the creek don't rise and the Lord tarries, they're going to be the ones facing this.
So I would challenge you on that. We won't see much.
Mm-hmm.
I really see it accelerating to a point where, because it goes back. I mean, the Bible says that in Matthew was, I think, 24, that this generation that sees these signs occurring will not pass before.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Before the end times, before the rapture, the tribulation, and ultimately the second coming, and we're within that window.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on when God started counting. Was it 1948? Was it 1967? Was it 1988? Or has he actually started counting yet?
Mm-hmm.
I would say that none of the end time prophecies could have occurred or would have occurred. None of them could have occurred until 1948.
Mm-hmm. See, that's when I started about my clock. And let me elaborate just a little bit. When I don't think we'll see much. I mean to say, I think that our generation knows what we're going to fight. And I think that we're going to push back harder than the next generation will. That's kind of what I meant by that.
Oh, that's factual, because I mean, Ronald Reagan said, what one generation tolerates, the next generation, or one generation,
tolerates,
the next one embraces.
Right, and that's the reason. I mean, there's really nothing in the Bible that indicates that you're not supposed to drink alcohol. It's actually the opposite. I mean, Jesus brought the best wine to the wedding. But what you're not supposed to do is get drunk on it. And even though I may be able to drink a beer or a glass of bourbon and not have a problem with it, I'm able to do it. But I've got to be careful of my kids, because then maybe
they might not be able to do it.
They may not have the self-control.
Yeah.
And the same thing with like talking about pastors or people that are ministers over you. You may be able to have those conversations with your spouse and disagree with what somebody says behind the pulpit, but your children listening may not be able to make that differentiation and could plant an unfruitful seed in their spirits to where they may not make heaven because of something you said about a person in leadership within the church, the ecclesia.
That's right. We have to use our authority and the trust and trust in the Holy Spirit and believe in the Holy Spirit to guide us with that authority. Because there's a lot riding on shoulders of men, and the biggest thing you can do is just give it away. Mm-hmm. Sorry, let's move on to the.
So that really got derailed there.
Thanks, yes, man. The one time he says something.
Successful in banning a number of books. The question is, which are those books? Are those books, for example, Genderqueer, a memoir, or This Book is Gay? In that book, there are all sorts of depictions with body parts and male body parts. I can't even put on the screen the stuff that is in this book, Genderqueer, where there's two men engaged in a sexual position. Another page where I can flip to where there's two men engaged in oral sex. There are any number of ridiculous graphic pictures that are being put in front of our kids in schools. Now, my question for this entire panel is, do you believe that parents have a right to know whether this stuff is in their schools? I would like a yes or no answer from each member of the panel.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, parents have a right to know.
Parents have a right to know. Well, that's good to know. I hope there's.
So I will start with this. If you are an adult in America and that's your decision to read that or live the life you want to live, as much as I disagree with it, you're an adult. I draw the line when you start pushing that nonsense on children.
Yeah, so I'm in agreement with you. But the thing we have to be cautious about too is if you start banning books, where does that end?
Well, I don't think we should ban books, but I definitely don't think those should be. I mean, we're not having Playboys and Hustlers in school, right?
Right.
That doesn't need to be in school.
Right. I mean, the Bible's not really allowed in school anymore. But from a public standpoint, do I agree with those books? No. Does my spirit agree with those books? Absolutely not. But as Nazi Germany showed, banning books can get into a spot where you don't want to go.
Right.
I'm not for banning them. I don't think they belong in the school system.
No, but that's what he said in the video, though, was, or at least that's where the clip started. Not necessarily that was the full context of the video, was ban book. And
I think his point was the parents have a right to know that this is in
Agreed.
the school library.
They should have the right to know, and they should be able to veto that out of a school library.
This shouldn't even be a conversation. Those books should not even be
pornographic
even
in nature.
thought about being put into the schools.
They were literally both pornographic in nature, with pornographic images.
There was a clip that I saw where
I used to get in trouble for having garbage pail kid cards in school
because of the
the graphic weirdness of the cards. You know, we got in trouble.
Card?
Garbage pail
kids. You know, remember
that's
that?
a blast from the past right there.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
don't.
old school. They're like little. What are they
They
called?
were like Cabbage Patch
Patch
Kids,
Kids,
but
yeah.
zombified.
Oh yeah, I completely
like,
forgot about those.
Picking huge boogers. Some were like
Yeah,
monsters. Some were.
Yeah.
They were atrocious, but they were hilarious, and we got in trouble for having those looking around.
Yeah.
You know, passing around school, and now they're putting this stuff in there. It shouldn't be a conversation. And I agree with Josh. Don't ban books. If people want to read that nonsense, they can read the nonsense, but do not put it in our kids, in their face.
So this is where I was going back to where the enemy's undermining the next generation and using adults to do it. There was, and Shapiro was talking about it, there was a girl that was sex trafficked twice out of California because, one, the parents didn't agree with the transition that the school was doing behind the parents' back. Again, that's a conversation that should just be a standard no. Parents have the right to know everything about their child. She's socially transitioned. Parents don't agree, so the state takes emergency custody. She's then sex trafficked. They find her in Maryland. On the process back, I think she gets as far back as Texas. She goes missing again and was a sex slave for 2 years. I think she was 14 or 15 years old. Because the parents, one, had no idea what the school was doing, and then lost their authority and rights because the state felt they could do a better job.
I seen a video the other day that said something along the lines of, well, can my 12-year-old get on a plane by herself? No, without parents' permission. Can they get a tattoo? No. Can they drive a car? No. Can they buy a gun? No. Can they do this? No. It was like all these things, and then at the very end of the video, it's like, but can they mutilate their private area? And
the guy holds up a hacksaw and says, "Yeah, we can get it done right now."
Yeah, we can do it right now. Yeah, it's mind blowing.
That's demon influence.
Yes.
All right, now so that was pretty cut and dry. We're gonna do one more, and we'll wrap up.
What?
All right, we are wrapping up. He dropped his phone for those not watching.
Whoopsie.
I've been researching Black Lives Matter, and I've been understanding the politics and how they're funded by white liberals. And recently, I've been feeling like they're white liberals in blackface.
That's
I
correct.
realize white liberals don't really care about me, bro.
That's correct.
I'm off the plantation, bro.
All right.
I'm off the plantation, bro. I escaped the plantation, bro. I'm empowered. They don't want me to have power. They want to keep me dependent. But I'm realizing this. They put white liberal ideas, LGBT, women, non-binary, white feminism, all that Hillary Clinton stuff, put it in blackface. Because if we say it, it's going to be too crazy. So then Black Lives Matter, it started by 3 lesbian women. It started by 3 lesbian women. It's not really supporting black families. But I'm just...
Yep.
So we've touched on a lot of them. That one, I didn't realize he got so loud in that one.
He fires.
Yeah,
he's fired up.
He's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong.
No, you follow the money, and it all leads back to George Soros.
All of it goes back to George Soros. and you look how the I guess you'd call it the leader of the BLM movement. They're living high life mansions, multiple mansions. First of all, and how has it improved the black community?
It hasn't.
There's only been one president, and again, yeah, well,
It's
I'm
true.
just
It's true.
saying,
It's true.
He's done so much for the black community, and no one wants to give him credit for it. It's Donald Trump.
Yep.
And then meanwhile, they want to say he was saying I'm leaving the plantation, and that means because a lot of the I don't want to say it because I don't know the stat, but a lot of people think when things are given to you that they're helping you. But the Democratic Party is giving you things to keep you right where they want you, to not grow, to not get better. I got my free phone. Okay, cool. That's it. You should be able to get your own phone.
Yeah.
You should be able to have a job to get your own phone with all the storage, all the data, all whatever. They're giving these things to keep them down. And welfare help, it was a program created with well intentions back in the day to help people that cannot help themselves. But now it's you can work the system now and get so much money, clean and clear, and it's all designed to keep you dependent on one source.
Yep.
We're supposed to be dependent on one source only, Jehovah Jireh, our provider. And we are able to, Deuteronomy says we've been given the ability to create wealth. That doesn't mean a $100 bill is going to just fall in your wallet one day because you pray. You've been given the ability, meaning get up, you've got talents, you've got strengths, get up and go get a job and use your brain to full capacity and your body to full capacity. And you will not be on that plantation this guy was saying. And I loved it. I loved his enthusiasm, and I didn't watch that video, but I can guess it was a man of color.
Yep.
And he was excited to say, I'm off the plantation because he's finally had the aha moment.
Yep.
That I am a free man because I live in America. Everybody's been been endowed with unalienable rights. We all start on the same page. Now, some will say, well, rich people have a little bit easier path. I would agree with that.
Yep.
If you're born into a family that has wealth, you have an easier path. However, you still have to get your own education. You still have to go and get your own job. Well, they inherited money. Okay, but they still have to learn how to manage it. So you're still in the same playing level. I use this example all the time. I have a friend that was growing up, had a single mom. She worked multiple jobs. He had nothing growing up. I mean, they did well because they managed well, but in monetary terms, they didn't have a whole lot. But this kid worked his butt off, straight A's, scholarships through college, and now is making great money. And he started out not in a wealthy household.
Yeah.
Same playing field. Get off the plantation. And the BLM movement, it's a terrorist organization. I'll say it. I don't care. It's all lives matter. I love everyone because God loves everyone.
Yep.
Everyone is a child of God. All lives matter. Just want to make that perfectly clear. But the BLM movement is a terrorist organization, just like Antifa is, just like the KKK, is, because I believe there still is a KKK.
Yeah.
And they should all be condemned.
The part about the biggest thing that turned me off to the BLM movement was the BLM was when you go on their website and you read their mission statement, as I believe is what you'd call it, and it talks about how they
manifesto.
Yeah, they want to destroy the nuclear family. Now I'm out. I get what they're saying. I kind of get where the message or the meaning, but as soon as you want to start tearing down God's design and start spewing your own hate, I'm out.
Well, that just goes back to an old clip of Ben Shapiro's on stage with a couple people of color, and they're saying, why are these things happening in the black community? Why are these things, blah, 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 blah. And he says, because it's a cultural problem.
Mm-hmm.
And they went nuts until he said, okay, you tell me why, percentage-wise, more black people are incarcerated or don't finish high school or blah, blah, because it all goes back down to cultural issues. Mm-hmm. Single parent homes, all these issues. And it happens in the white community also.
Yeah.
If you're not being raised by the nuclear family, a mother and father, and there's another video I saw of an old man, a real old man, and he really shocked these people when he's talking. He said, I grew up in the days of the Depression,
Jim Crow and
all that stuff. He said, when we got our freedom and all this, he said, I never feared walking down our black neighborhoods for being mugged. I never feared about these things because they recognized their freedom back then. They had true freedom.
Yep. All right, we're gonna wrap up with that, but these are some big top issues I think is going to come up and play a big part in the upcoming election. And if I could give you any advice or takeaways, is study and follow the guidance of the Holy Spirit. Yes, we're going to wrap up.
We're just getting close on time, right?
Hey, we're not going an hour and 40 minutes anymore, so I think that's a little bit of
I think Jared was afraid of how much more I was going to say.
You felt like you were just getting warmed up there.
Oh, we'll roll that into the next episode. All right. As always, been good stuff today. If you have any questions or comments or like to get a hold of us, make sure to visit our website at mkdudtalk.com. That way you can find a little bit more about each of us, find all of our older podcasts, get caught up, some of our funnier videos. Also, there's a direct email you can get to us as well at mkdudtalk@gmail.com. So, for the Yes Man Jared, for the vacationing MK Andy, the Coach Ryan, and of course our host, Mr. Josh, I am Nick for Mountaineer Kingdom Dude Talk, real man, manly talk.
You're not going to do the dance?
He's going to stand up and do it.
He must have to pee or something.